Hereafter Title I within state allocations. Title I within district allocations. Title II, Part A allocations, maintenance of effort requirements, and transferability requirements. The ESA also makes a number of changes to the equitable services requirements for private school students in Title I and Title VIII of the ESEA. This guidance document discusses these specific changes and is designed to support state educational agencies, SEAs, local educational agencies 1, LEAs, and schools in implementing the ESEA, as amended by the ESA. Requirements are presented in a shaded box. New or revised the changes made by the ESA to the state formula grant programs discussed in this guidance take effect beginning in the 2017-2018 school year. The department is issuing guidance with respect to these specific changes now to provide SEAs, LEAs, and schools with timely information to support SEAs, LEAs, and schools in meeting their obligations under the ESEA for the 2017-2018 school year. The U.S. Department of Education Department has determined that this guidance is significant guidance under the Office of Management and Budget's final bulletin for agency good guidance practices, 72 Fed. Reg. 3432, January 25, 2007. See www.whitehouse.gov/sites/OMB/memoranda/FY2007/M07-07.pdf. Significant guidance is non-binding and does not create or impose new legal requirements. If you are interested in commenting on this guidance, please email us your comments at oes.guidance@ed.gov or write to us at the following address: Office of Elementary and Secondary Education, 400 Maryland Avenue, SW, Washington, District of Columbia 20202. For further information about the department's guidance processes, please visit www.ed.gov/policy/gen/gd/significant-guidance.html. 1. Unless otherwise noted, all references to the ESEA in this document refer to the ESEA as amended by the ESA. 1. ESA. Important fiscal changes. U.S. Department of Education Title I within state allocations. A overview. The ESA made several changes to the ESEA regarding how an SEA adjusts the department determined Title I LEA allocations to account for differences between the department's list of LEAs and the universe of LEAs within a state and to make state-level reservations. The SEA now includes specific language requiring an SEA to calculate a whole harmless amount for each formula that reflects the increased enrollment for a newly opened or significantly expanded charter school LEA, and contains new and revised state-level reservations that affect the final Title I LEA allocations calculated by an SEA. These changes take effect beginning with fiscal year FY 2017 Title I funds that the department expects to award on July 1, 2017, for use primarily in the 2017-2018 school year. The following describes, in chronological order, the steps for an SEA to follow to adjust the department-determined Title I LEA allocations in a manner that is consistent with the ESEA. New requirements are presented in a shaded box. In general, for requirements that existed under the ESEA, as amended by NCLB, and continued under the ESEA, as amended by the ESA, a link to previously issued guidance or regulations is provided. B. Steps to adjust department-determined Title I LEA allocations. Step 1. Adjust formula counts to if the LEAs in a state differ from the department's list of LEAs, e.g., due to the existence of charter school LEAs. An SEA must estimate the number of formula children and determine eligibility for each LEA not on the department's list by following the procedures on pages 413 in the department's 2003 within state allocation guidance, available at http://www.ed.gov/programs/TITLEIPARDA/SEAGUIDNCEFORADJUSTINGALLOCATIONS.doc. To carry out this process for a newly opened or significantly expanded charter school LEA, including projecting the formula count and enrollment, see questions 4852 in the Department's 2000 Charter School Allocation Guidance, available at http://www.ed.gov/policy/lc/gd/c2000.pdf. If a state's list of LEAs matches the department's list of LEAs, the SEA begins with Step 3 of this guidance because Steps 1 and 2 only apply to states whose universe of LEAs includes one or more LEAs that are not on the department's list. In a situation in which the state list of LEAs and the department's list of LEAs are identical, there are not any LEAs in addition to those on the department's list for which an SEA would need to derive a formula count or apply the hold harmless requirements, which are the activities covered in Steps 1 and 2. 2. If an SEA is unable to track children counted under the Title I formulas from a sending LEA to a receiving LEA, the SEA follows the special procedures on pages 1924 in its 2003 Within State Allocation Guidance, available at http://www.ed.gov/PITLEIPARDA/SEAGUIDNCEFRADJUIDANCEFRADJUIDANCEFRADJUIDANCEFRADJUIDANCEFRADJUIDANCEFRADJUIDANCEFRADJUIDANCEFRADJUIDANCEFRADJUIDANCEFRADJUIDANCEFRADJUIDANCEFRADJUIDANCEFRADJUIDANCEFRADJUIDANCEFRADJUIDANCEFRADJUIDANCEFRADJUIDANCEFRADJUIDANCEFRADJUIDANCEFRADJUIDANCEFRADJUIDANCEFRADJUIDANCEFRADJUIDANCEFRADJUIDANCEFRADJUIDANCEFRADJUIDANCEFRADJUIDANCEFRADJUIDANCEFRADJUIDAN Important fiscal changes. U.S. Department of Education percentage of LEA formula children ages 5 to 17, inclusive, as a percentage of its total population of children ages 5 to 17, inclusive, and variable hold harmless percentage. Hold harmless applies on a formula-by-formula basis, i.e. 30% or more, 95% to 15% or more but less than 30%. 90%, 3, less than 15%, 85%. To apply under basic grants, targeted grants, or education finance incentive grants, respectively, an LEA must meet the eligibility criteria for the respective formula. To apply under concentration grants, an LEA must meet the eligibility criteria in the current year or have met the criteria at least once in the 4 years prior to the current year. Step 2A. Adjust initial allocations based on adjusted formula counts. An SEA must calculate basic grants, concentration grants, targeted grants, and education finance incentive grants for each eligible LEA that is not on the department's list by using the adjusted formula count from Step 1 and adjusting the department-determined allocations of LEAs on the department's list. To do so, the SEA follows the procedures on pages 14-18 in the department's 2003 within state allocation guidance, available at http://www.ed.gov/TITLEIPARDA/SEAGUIDNCEFORADJUSTIONS.doc. Step 2B. Apply the variable hold harmless requirements of each formula. An SEA must apply the variable hold harmless requirements to the LEA allocations, including charter school LEAs, calculated in Step 2A for basic grants, concentration grants, targeted grants, and education finance incentive grants, as required by 34 CFR 200.73. Description of the variable hold harmless requirements. The hold harmless percentage that an SEA applies to an LEA varies based on the percentage of formula children who reside within the LEA. Under the basic grants, targeted grants, and education finance incentive grants formulas, the hold harmless guarantee only applies to an LEA that meets the eligibility criteria of the respective formula as determined in Steps 1 and 2A. Under the concentration grants formula, the hold harmless guarantee applies to an LEA for 4 years after it last met the formula eligibility criteria. The following table summarizes the variable hold harmless, left column, and how the hold harmless applies under each formula, right column. An SEA must apply the hold harmless requirements using ratable reductions on a formula-by-formula basis. If the amount of funds available under one of the formulas is enough to satisfy the guaranteed hold harmless amount for each LEA, The SEA must ratably reduce leases that are above their guaranteed hold harmless amounts in order to ensure that leases that are below their guaranteed hold harmless amounts are raised to their hold harmless levels, and must repeat this process until no LEA in the state falls below its guaranteed hold harmless amount. If the 3. ESA. Important fiscal changes. U.S. Department of Education new SEA requirements special hold harmless provisions for newly opened and significantly expanded charter school leases for purposes of implementing the hold harmless protections in sections 1122C and 1125A F3 of the SEA for newly opened or significantly expanded charter school LEA. An SEA must calculate a hold harmless base for the prior year that reflects the new or significantly expanded enrollment of the charter school LEA. SEA Section 4306C. Amount of funds available under one of the formulas is not enough to satisfy the guaranteed hold harmless amount for each LEA. An SEA must ratably reduce all leases from their hold harmless amounts to the amount of funds available under the formula. To ensure that each charter school LEA receives the applicable hold harmless protection under Step 2B above, an SEA must generate a hold harmless base for a newly opened or significantly expanded charter school LEA that reflects the new or significantly expanded enrollment of the charter school LEA. This provision is necessary to give effect to SEA Section 4306A that requires an SEA to take such measures as are necessary to ensure that every charter school LEA that newly opens or significantly expands its enrollment receives the federal funding for which the charter school LEA is eligible, notwithstanding the fact that the identity and characteristics of the students enrolling in the charter school LEA are not fully and completely determined until the charter school LEA actually opens or significantly expands. Section 4306A ensures that each newly opened or significantly expanded charter school LEA receives an allocation that reflects its current student count, even though allocations may be calculated before the identity and characteristics of the students enrolling in the charter school LEA are fully determined. Because newly opened and significantly expanded charter school LEAs are treated differently under Section 4306A from other LEAs, including other charter school LEAs, it is important to ensure that the operation of the hold harmless protections in SEA Sections 1122C and 1125A F3 do not unduly negate increases in Title I allocations based on the increased student population in the charter school LEAs. Accordingly, an SEA must generate a prior year base amount for each newly opened and significantly expanded charter school LEA in order to apply the 85, 90, or 95 hold harmless percentage described above. With respect to newly opened charter school LEAs, this means creating a hold harmless base where none exists. With respect to a significantly expanded charter school LEA, which is defined consistent with 34 CFR 376.787, this means adjusting the prior year's hold harmless base to create a new base that reflects the increase in the formula count for the current year. 3. Consistent with 34 CFR 76.787. Significant expansion of enrollment means a substantial increase in the number of students attending a charter school due to a significant event that is unlikely to occur on a regular basis, such as the addition of one or more grades or educational programs in major curriculum areas. The term also includes any other expansion of enrollment that the SEA determines to be significant. 4. ESA. Important fiscal changes. U.S. Department of Education 1 SY 2016 minus 2017 allocation 2 initial SY 2017 minus 2018 allocation determined in Step 2A asterisk 3 guaranteed hold harmless amount col. 2. X 95% newly opened charter school LEA to determine a prior year base amount on which to apply the hold harmless for a newly opened charter school LEA. An SEA would take the following substeps for ease of explanation. The example assumes the SEA is making allocations for the 2017 minus 2018 school year, Substep A. refer to the newly opened charter school's initial allocation for SY 2017 minus sign 2018 under each formula before application of the hold harmless protections in ESEA sections 1122C and 1125A F3 that the SEA determined in step 2A of this guidance. Note that if NSEA calculates these allocations for a new charter school LEA based on projected data used to derive a formula count in Step 1, the SEA must revise the allocations once actual data are available for the new charter school LEA. This amount will serve as the prior year, i.e., SY 2016 minus sign 2017 base amount for the purpose of determining the guaranteed hold harmless amount. In other words, the newly opened charter school's prior year hold harmless base under each formula for calculating the guaranteed hold harmless amount is the same as the charter school's initial allocation under each formula for SI 2017 minus sign 2018. Substep B. Based on the charter school's derived formula count for SY 2017 minus sign 2018 determined in Step 1 compared to its population of children ages 5 through 17 for SY 2017 minus sign 2018, determine whether the newly opened charter school's hold harmless percentage will be 85, 90, or 95% of its prior year base amount. See hold harmless table earlier in Step 2B that shows the variable hold harmless percentages based on Henley's percentage of formula children. Substep C. Multiply the initial allocation discussed in Substep A for each formula by the appropriate hold harmless percentage from Step 2B to determine the newly opened charter school's hold harmless amount. This process will ensure that the newly opened charter school LEA is not disadvantaged by the fact that it had no Title I allocation in the prior year against which to apply the hold harmless percentage. The following chart illustrates how this process would work in the case of a newly opened charter school LEA that has a percentage of formula children that is greater than 30%. Basic grant allocation, concentration grant allocation, targeted grant allocation, EFIG allocation, total Title I allocation, current year formula count. Step 1 of this guidance, SY 2017, minus sign 2018 ages 5-17 population percentage of formula children hold harmless percentage $0,021,900 $0,48,798 $42,620 $205,852 $168 $432 39% 95% $87,907 $20,800 $5,46,358 $40,000 $489 $195,559 $92,534 5. ESSA. Important fiscal changes U.S. Department of Education. The amount shown in column 2 is also the proxy, prior year, hold harmless base to be used for determining the guaranteed hold harmless amount for ESEA sections 1122C and 1125A F3 purposes. NSEA must ensure that the 2017 minus sign 2018 Title I allocation under each formula for a newly opened charter school LEA does not fall below the column 3 amount. Significantly expanded charter school LEA to determine the prior year hold harmless base for a significantly expanded charter school 4 LEA, NSEA would take the following substeps for ease of explanation. The example assumes the SEA is making allocations for SY 2017 minus sign 2018. Substep A. Compare the SY 2017 minus sign 2018 derived formula count determined in Step 1 with the SY 2016 minus sign 2017 derived formula count and calculate the percentage by which the SY 2017 minus sign 2018 projected formula count has increased over the SY 2016 minus sign 2017 actual formula count. Note that if NSEA derived the formula count in Step 1 based on projected data, the SEA must revise the derived formula count once actual data are available for the significantly expanded charter school A. Substep B. Multiply the SY 2016 minus sign 2017 allocation the charter school LEA received under each formula by the percentage increase calculated in substep 8 to determine the significantly expanded charter school lease adjusted prior year SY 2016 minus sign 2017 hold harmless base amount. Substep C, based on the significantly expanded charter school lease derived formula count for SY 2017 minus sign 2018 from step 1 compared to its enrollment ages 5 through 17 for SY 2017 minus sign 2018, determine whether the significantly expanded charter school leasehold harmless percentage will be 85, 90, or 95% of its prior year base amount. See hold harmless table earlier in step 2b that shows the variable hold harmless percentages based on Enley's percentage of formula children. Substep D. Multiply the amount determined in substep E for each formula by the appropriate hold harmless percentage determined in substep C to determine the significantly expanded charter school lease guarantees hold harmless amount. The following chart illustrates how this process would work in the case of a significantly expanded charter school LEA that has a percentage of formula children that is at least 15% and less than 30%. 4. If a charter school LEA has significantly expanded, but its number of formula children has decreased, the charter school's hold harmless amounts would be its actual allocations from the prior year. 6. ESSA. Important fiscal changes U.S. Department of Education 1 SY 2016 minus sign 2017 allocations 2 percentage increase due to expanded enrollment in SY 2017 minus sign 2018 line 9 3 adjustments to SY 2016 minus sign 2017 base amount due to increase in formula count col 1x 4 adjusted SY 2016 minus sign 2017 base amount to reflect increase in formula count col 1 plus 3 5 hold harmless percentage based on poverty percentage line 11 6 guaranteed hold harmless amount for SY 2017 minus sign 2018 allocation purposes col 4x 5 1 SY 2016 minus sign 2017 actual formula count to SY 2016 minus sign 2017 basic grant allocation 3 SY 2016 minus sign 2017 concentration grant allocation for SY 2016 minus sign 2017 targeted grant allocation 5 SY 2016 minus sign 2017 EFIG allocation 6 total title I allocation 7 SY 2017 minus sign 2018 formula count. Step 1 of this guidance 8 increase over SY 2016 minus sign 2017 count line 7. Line 1, 9 percentage increase, line 8 division, line 1, 10 SY 2017, minus sign, 2018 ages 5 17 population 11 poverty percentage, line 7 division, line 10, 277 $119,541, 52% $23,052, 52% $62,938, 52% $54,923, 52% $260,454, 420 143, 52% $1,432, 29% $62,160. $11,987, $32,728, $28,560, $181,702, 90%, $35,039, 90%, $95,666, 90%, $83,483, 90%, $395,890, $163,530. $2, $31,535, $86,099, $75,135, $356,301. Please see the Dear Title I Director Guidance on applying the hold harmless to newly opened or significantly expanded charter schoolies that ED issued in 2013 for additional details. Available at http://www.ed.gov/programs/TITLEIPARTA/CHRTERTIONREQ.pdf. Step 3. Determine LEA allocations prior to state reservations, and SEA must sum each LEA's allocations for basic grants, concentration grants, targeted grants, and education finance incentive grants calculated in Step 2B to determine the lease title I allocation prior to the state-level reservations described in Step 4. 7. ESSA. Important fiscal changes. U.S. Department of Education new SEA requirement FY 2017 school improvement reservation, and SEA must ratably reduce the allocations of all lease calculated in Step 3, including newly opened and significantly expanded charter schoolies, to reserve the greater of 7% of the SEA's FY 2017 Title I award, or the sum of the total amount that the SEA reserved for school improvement under Section 1003A from its FY 2016 Title I award, generally, 4% of that award, and the amount of the SEA's FY 2016 School Improvement Grants (SIG) allocation under Section 1003G. ESEA Section 1003A. Special Rule for FY 2018 and subsequent years school improvement reservation, and SEA must ratably reduce the allocations of all lease calculated in Step 3 to reserve the greater of the amounts described in the two bullets under FY 2017, and must also follow a special rule. Special Rule for FY 2018 and subsequent years allocations and reserving funds under Section 1003A from FY 2018 and subsequent years allocations, and SEA may not reduce an lease title I allocation below the prior year's amount. ESEA Section 1003H. It is possible that in some years this special rule will prevent an SEA from reserving the full amount for school improvement. The term full amount refers to the figure described under the heading FY 2018 and subsequent years school improvement reservation. Questions 3 and 5 in the 2013 Dear Title I Director Guidance, available at http://www.ed.gov/programs/TITLEIPARTA/CHRTERTIONREQ.pdf provides information on how to implement the special rule for newly opened and significantly expanded charter schoolies. Step 4. State reservations. Step 4A. Reservation for school improvement. Step 4A example. The following example shows how two hypothetical Cs determine the Section 1003A reservation amounts. The example assumes that the special rule described above does not prevent an SEA from reserving the full amount for school improvement required by Section 1003A. For SEA 1, 7% of its current year Title I allocation, column 7, is greater than the sum of its FY 2016 1003A reservation and FY 2016 SIG allocation, column 5. Therefore, SEA 1 reserves the column 7 figure, as shown in column 8. Conversely, SEA 2's 8. ESSA. Important fiscal changes. U.S. Department of Education CFY 16 Title IA allocation FY 16 1003A reservation, 4% of COL. 2. FY 16 SIG allocation sum of FY 16 1003 and FY 16 SIG, COL. 3 plus COL. 4. Current year Title IA allocation 7% of current year Title IA allocation current year 1003A reservation, greater of COL. 5 or COL. 7. New SEA optional reservation for direct student services 5 after meaningful consultation with geographically diverse LEAs, and SEA may, but is not required to, reserve a maximum of 3% of its Title I allocation for direct student services, DSS. ESEA Section 1003A1. Some of its FY 2016-1003A reservation and FY 2016 SIG allocation exceeds 7% of its current year Title I allocation. Therefore, SEA2 reserves the column 5 figure, as shown in column 8. Col. 1C1 SEA2 call. 200 million 175 million call. 38 million 7 million call. 45 million 4 million 500,000 call. 513 million 11 million 500,000 call. 210 million 164 million call. 714 700 00011 480 000 call. 814 million 700,000 11 million 500,000 Step 4B. Reservation for State Administration. NSEA follows the description of this step on pages 32-33 in the Department's 2003 Within State Allocation Guidance, available at http://www.ed.gov/programs/TITLEIPARDA/SEAGUIDANCEFORADJUSTIANGLOCATION.doc. To complete Step 4B, NSEA has two options. Proportionately reduce each LEA's total allocation even if an LEA receives less than 85, 90, or 95% of the total Title I, Part A amount allocated to it in the prior year, hold harmless amount. Proportionately reduce the allocation of each LEA in the state, including the allocation for Part 500. Subpart 2, that is above the LEA's guaranteed hold harmless amount to bring up the allocation of LEAs below their hold harmless amount. Repeat this process as necessary until no LEA in the state falls below its guaranteed hold harmless amount. Step 4C. Optional reservation for direct student services to reserve funds for DSS. NSEA must ratably reduce the allocations of all LEAs, including charter school LEAs. 5. The Department expects to provide information in another form, e.g., other guidance about DSS. This guidance focuses on how an SEA would make the reservation. 9. ESSA. Important fiscal changes. U.S. Department of Education from the DSS reservation. NSEA may use up to 1% to administer DSS. ESEA Section 1003A2. For example, if NC's DSS reservation is $1 million, it may use no more than $10,000 of the $1 million to administer DSS, i.e., 1% of $1 million. See Frequently Asked Questions C1. In implementing the special rule described in Step 4A in FY 2018 and subsequent years, what is NLEA's prior year amount? NSEA has options in what it considers as NLEA's prior year amount, as long as the SEA applies the same option to all LEAs during a given year. The prior year amount may be NLEA's allocation from the previous year at the end of Steps 3, 4A, 4B, if the SEA did not reserve funds for DSS in the prior year, or 4C, if the SEA reserved funds for DSS in the prior year. If, for FY 2018 and subsequent years, the SEA is unable to reserve the full amount under one of the options because of the special rule discussed in Step 4A, the SEA must choose an option that results in reserving the full amount unless none of the options result in reserving the full amount. If it is not possible under any option to reserve the full amount, the SEA must select the option that produces the reservation amount that is closest to the full amount. C2. If NSEA received the Department's approval under NCLB to use an alternative method to redistribute allocations to LEAs serving less than 20,000 total residents, small LEAs, may the SEA continue to do so? Yes, as long as the SEA continues to use the method approved by the Department. See pages 26-32 in the Department's 2003 Within State Allocation Guidance, available at http://www.ed.gov/programs/TITLEIPARDA/SEAGUIDANCEFORADJUSTIANGLOCATION.doc. C3. Does the ESEA continue the authority in NCLB for covered Cs to use an alternative method to allocate concentration grant funds? Yes. Under Section 1124A(b) of the ESEA, an SEA in a covered state, Alaska, Delaware, New Hampshire, Vermont, and Wyoming, may follow steps 1 to above for concentration grants or the steps listed in the second bullet under number 3 on pages 31-32 in the Department's 2003 Within State Allocation Guidance, available at http://www.ed.gov/TITLEIPARDA/SEAGUIDNCFRADJUSTINGS.doc. C4. May an SEA reserve funds for the State Academic Achievement Awards Program? No. Under the ESEA, as amended by NCLB, if NC's title allocation increased over the prior year's amount, the SEA had the option to reserve up to 5% of the increase to support the State Academic Achievement Awards Program. The ESEA, as amended by the ESA, no longer permits this reservation. 10. ESA. Important fiscal changes. U.S. Department of Education ESEA exception to the ranking requirement. An LEA may lower the poverty threshold to 50% for high schools served by the LEA. ESEA Section 1113A3B. Title I within district allocations. The overview. An LEA may only use Title I funds in an eligible school attendance area. ESEA Section 1113A1. Which is the school attendance area in which the percentage of children from low-income families is at least as high as the percentage of children from low-income families served by the LEA as a whole. At least as high as the percentage of children from low-income families in the grade span in which the school is located, or at least 35%. ESEA Section 1113A2. Except as provided below. If Title I funds are insufficient to serve all eligible school attendance areas, an LEA must annually rank, without regard to grade spans, eligible school attendance areas in which the percentage of children from low-income families exceeds 75%, the 75% poverty threshold, from highest to lowest according to poverty percentage, and serve the eligible school attendance areas in rank order. ESEA Section 1113A3. Changes to Title I within district allocation requirements. C. The ESA added 2 requirements to the Title I within district allocation requirements. E1. Ranking high schools. An LEA must rank at schools above the 75% poverty threshold without regard to grade span and serve those schools in rank order of poverty before it serves any schools at or below the 75% poverty threshold. Under the new ESEA exception, an LEA may, but is not required to, continue to serve, in rank order of poverty, high schools with poverty percentages between 50% and 75% before it either serves other schools with a poverty percentage of 75% or below or begins to rank and serve schools by grade span. In other words, an LEA may serve high schools with 50% or more poverty before it serves any elementary or middle schools with a poverty percentage at or below 75%. 11. ESA. Important fiscal changes. U.S. Department of Education ESEA provides explicit authority to use feeder patterns to determine the poverty percentages of secondary schools. For determining the number of children from low-income families in a secondary school, an LEA may estimate that number by applying the average percentage of students from low-income families in the elementary school attendance areas that feed into the secondary school to the number of students enrolled in the secondary school. Before an LEA may use feeder patterns to determine the poverty percentage of secondary schools, the LEA must notify its secondary schools to inform them of the option. A majority of its secondary schools must approve the use of feeder patterns. ESEA Sections 1113A5B and C. E2. Eligibility of secondary schools using feeder pattern. A secondary school means a nonprofit institutional day or residential school, including a public secondary charter school that provides secondary education, as determined under state law, except that the term does not include any education beyond grade 12. Depending on state law, a secondary school might include middle schools as well as high schools. ESEA Section 8101-45. For examples of how to use feeder patterns to establish a poverty percentage for secondary schools, see question 10 on pages 12-15 in the Department's 2003 Title I Within District Allocation Guidance, available at http://www.ed.gov/programs/titleiparda/wdag.doc. F. Frequently asked questions. F1. If an LEA participates in the National School Lunch Programs, NSLP, Community Eligibility Provision, CEP, is there information available on how the LEA may use NSLP data, including CEP data, to allocate Title I funds to schools? Yes. The Within District Allocation section of the Department's 2015 Title I CEP Guidance, available at http://www.ed.gov/programs/titleiparda/15-0011.doc, provides options for how an LEA may use CEP data to allocate Title I funds to schools. F2. Have the requirements changed for allocating Title I funds to provide equitable services for eligible private school students and their teachers and families? Yes. See questions 01 through 04 on Section V of this guidance. Equitable services. 12. ESSA. Important fiscal changes. U.S. Department of Education ESEA changes to the department's allocations to Cs. The hold harmless is phased out over a series of years starting with the FY 2017 allocations. The share of funds allocated based on ages 5 to 17 in poverty relative to the share of funds allocated based on ages 5 to 17 population increases, starting in FY 2018. State agencies for higher education, SAHs, are no longer eligible to receive an allocation from the department. Cs are allowed to reserve additional funds for certain state activities for principals or other school leaders. ESEA Section 2101 B.C. 3. Title II, Part A Allocations Geo Review. The ESSA modified the formulas by which the department allocates Title II, Part A funds to Cs and by which Cs allocate those funds to LEAs. The following sections provide details on the formula changes. This guidance, coupled with the non-regulatory guidance for Title II, Part A, Building Systems of Support for Excellent Teaching and Leading, available at http://www.ed.gov/policy/lc/leg/essa/leg/leg/leg/leg/esse/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg/leg SEA as amended by NCLB, entitled Improving Teacher Quality State Grants, issued on October 5, 2006. H. Federal Award to NCLCs, the Bureau of Indian Education, BIE, and the outlying areas are eligible to receive funds provided under Title II, Part 8, ESEA Section 2101A. H1. How the Department determines the amount of each state's Title II, Part A allocation. Step 1. Determine allocations to the outlying areas in the BIE prior to calculating state allocations. The Secretary reserves 0.5% of the annual Title II, Part A appropriation for allocations to the outlying areas, and 0.5% for an allocation to the BIE. ESEA Section 2101A1 and 2. The Secretary also may reserve up to 0.5% of the annual appropriation for evaluation activities. ESEA Section 8601. 13. ESSA. Important fiscal changes. U.S. Department of Education State Base Hold Harmless Amount. State Base Hold Harmless Amount. Step 2. Determine allocations to states under the ESEA, as amended by NCLB. The Department first allotted to each SEA the amount the SEA received for FY 2001 under the former Eisenhower Professional Development and Class Size Reduction Programs. This was the hold harmless amount. This provision was in effect through FY 2016. For the purposes of allocating funds to states under the ESEA, as amended by the ESA, the department will refer to this amount as the base hold harmless amount. Title 2, Part A, Base hold harmless amount. Alabama 33,589,576. Alaska 10,014,069. Arizona 31,644,323. Arkansas 20,304,205. California 234,202,657. Colorado 23,239,119. Nevada 10,014,069. Connecticut, Delaware, District of Columbia, Florida, Georgia, Hawaii, Idaho, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, Minnesota, Mississippi, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska. 20,267,446. 10,014,069. 10,014,069. 93,726,505. 53,915,360. 10,014,069. 10,014,069. 87,593,173. 35,603,460. 16,625,275. 16,940,650. 33,528,904. 49,335,846. 10,014,069. 31,112,700. 29, 39,506,167. 86,285,253. 29,197,574. 31,957,903. 36,567,509. 10,014,069. 10,291,000. 12. New Hampshire, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, North Carolina, North Dakota, Ohio. 10,014,069. 48,824,660. 16,779,448. 179,135,506. 44,562,470. 10,014,069. 80,186,546. 24,217,943. 20,368,786. 88,362,883. 66,751,522. 10,014,069. 25,971,288. 10,014,069. 35,360,499. Oklahoma, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Puerto Rico, Rhode Island, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas. 170,820,831. Utah, Vermont, Virginia, Washington, West Virginia, Wisconsin, Wyoming, American Samoa, Guam. 1,985,135. Northern 484,843. Marianas. 13,477,195. 10,014,069. 37,642,700. 53, 34,547,334. 18,809,357. 35,323,167. 10,014,069. 850,878. Virgin Islands. 1,635,517. 14. ESA. Important fiscal changes. U.S. Department of Education. Starting in FY 2017, the department must apply the new hold harmless requirement. Starting in FY 2017, the base hold harmless amount will be reduced each year by 14.29%. For the next few years, the amount of the state hold harmless as a percentage of its base hold harmless The amount received for FY 2001 under the former Eisenhower Professional Development and Class Size Reduction Programs is as follows. Fiscal year percentage of FY 2001 base hold harmless allocated to state 6 FY 2017 85.71% FY 2018 71.42% FY 2019 57.13% FY 2020 42.84% ESEA Section 2101 B1C. For FY 2017, the amount of Title II Part A funds that the department allocates to each state after calculating the adjusted base hold harmless amount for the state excess funds is determined by the following percentages, which are the same percentages in the ESEA as amended by NCLB. 35% according to each state's population of children ages 5 through 17 relative to the number of these children in all states, and 65% according to each state's relative numbers of individuals ages 5 through 17 from families with incomes below the poverty line relative to the number of these children in all states. The department uses the most current data from the U.S. Census Bureau to make this calculation. 6. Note that in any fiscal year for which the Title II Part A appropriation is too small to permit allocations that equal at least each C's hold harmless amounts, the department will ratably reduce each C's allocation to the amount available for that fiscal year. 15. ESSA. Important fiscal changes U.S. Department of Education starting in FY 2018. The department must apply new percentages beginning in FY 2018. New percentages are phased in. The share of excess funds allocated on the basis of a state's relative number of children ages 5 through 17 from families with incomes below the poverty line increases, and the share allocated on the basis of a state's relative number of children ages 5 through 17 decreases. As follows. Fiscal year percentage based on population ages 5 through 17 percentage based on population ages 5 through 17 in poverty FY 2017 3565 FY 2018 3070 FY 2019 2575 FY 2020 and subsequent years 2080 ESEA Section 2102 B2B. Each SEA must receive at least 0.5% of the excess amount. ESEA Section 2101 B2B. Page 2. SEA reservations from the state's Title II Part A allocation in SEA must first reserve at least 95% of the state's Title II Part A award for subgrants to LEAs. It may reserve the remainder of the state's Title II Part A allocation for allowable state activities. From the remainder, no more than 1% of the total state allocation may be used for state administrative costs of carrying out the Title II Part A program. ESEA Section 2101 C2. In addition to the funds it reserves for state activities as calculated in the paragraph above, an SEA may also reserve up to 3% of the amount it initially reserved for LEA subgrants, and use these additional funds for allowable state activities for principals or other school leaders. For more information on the different activities states can support with this reservation, please refer to our previous guidance on Title II. Thus, for an SEA that elects to reserve the maximum amount of Title II Part A funds for state activities, the split of the total state allocation between LEA level and SEA level funds would be as follows. 92.15% for LEA subgrants, and 7.85% for state activities, which includes at least 2.85%, 3% of 95% for state activities for principals or other school leaders. ESEA Section 2101 C1 through C3. 16. ESSA. Important fiscal changes U.S. Department of Education State Activities Funds LEA Subgrant Funds Initial amount reserved for state activities, 5% of $10 million, $500,000 initial amount reserved for LEA subgrants, 95% of $10 million, $9,500,000 maximum additional amount for state activities for principals or other school leaders, 3% of $9,500,000. Plus $285,000. $285,000 new ESEA change to LEA awards. No hold harmless. The hold harmless provision, based on the amount of funds an LEA received for FY 2001 under the former Eisenhower Professional Development and Class Size Reduction Programs, was eliminated. ESEA Section 2102A. Example. A state receiving $10 million that reserved the maximum allowable for state activities state allocation, $10 million maximum total amount $785,000 minimum amount $9,215,000 for state activities for LEA subgrants IC awards to LEAs and SEA continues to be responsible for determining LEA allocations and for ensuring the LEA's provision of equitable services to private school students. See Section V of this guidance. Equitable services. I-1. How an SEA determines the amount of each lease subgrant beginning in fiscal year 2017. Under the ESEA, there is no longer a hold harmless provision governing the calculation of LEA subgrants. An SEA, therefore, distributes funds to lease based solely on the following formula. 20% of the funds must be distributed to LEAs based on the relative numbers of individuals ages 5 through 17 who reside in the area the LEA serves, based on the most recent census data, as determined by the Secretary. And 17. ESSA. Important fiscal changes U.S. Department of Education I-2. 80% of the funds must be distributed to LEAs based on the relative numbers of individuals ages 5 through 17 who reside in the area the LEA serves and who are from families with incomes below the poverty line, based on the most recent census data, as determined by the Secretary. ESEA Section 2102A. How an SEA may distribute any unclaimed LEA funds. Title II. Part A funds available for LEA use are considered unclaimed if or when one or more LEAs decide not to participate in the program, or agree that they cannot use all or a portion of the funds they receive. An SEA may reserve these funds for state activities unless, in doing so, the SEA would end up reserving an amount of Title II. Part A funds for state activities that is in excess of the limits contained in ESEA Section 2101 C1, 3. See questions H2 and H3 in the above section on federal awards to an SEA. In such cases, the SEA must redistribute any unclaimed funds to other LEAs. However, it may exercise some flexibility in determining how this redistribution will occur. For example, it may proportionally increase the subgrant amount provided to all participating LEAs. Alternately, an SEA could establish special procedural and distribution criteria, subject to any state rulemaking requirements, and make these funds available to those LEAs that meet these criteria. 18. ESSA. Important fiscal changes U.S. Department of Education IV. Maintenance of effort requirements. JO review. An LEA may receive funds under a covered program for any fiscal year only if the SEA finds that either the combined fiscal effort per student, or the aggregate expenditures of state and local funds with respect to the provision of free public education by the LEA for the preceding fiscal year was not less than 90% of the combined fiscal effort per student or aggregate expenditures for the second preceding fiscal year. ESEA Section 1118A and 8521A. If an LEA fails to maintain effort by falling below 90% of both the combined fiscal effort per student and aggregate expenditures, using the measure most favorable to the LEA, the SEA must reduce the LEA's allocation under a covered program in the exact proportion by which the LEA failed to maintain effort. ESEA Section 8521B. ED may waive the maintenance of effort requirement for an LEA if it determines that a waiver would be equitable due to exceptional or uncontrollable circumstances, or precipitous decline in the financial resources of the LEA. ESEA Section 8521C. Changes to maintenance of effort requirements. K. The ESEA, as amended by the ESSA, made several updates to the maintenance of effort provision. Please note that provisions that did not change, including the information on expenditures to be included, expenditures to be excluded, and the definition of preceding fiscal year are still available on page 11 of the 2008 Title I Fiscal Guidance, available at http://www.ed.gov/programs/TITLEIPARDA/FISCALGUID.doc and remain applicable. 19. ESSA. Important fiscal changes. U.S. Department of Education updated programs to which the maintenance of effort requirement applies. Title I, Part 8, Improving Basic Programs operated by LEAs. Title I, Part 500, Prevention and Intervention Programs for Children and Youth who are neglected, delinquent, or at risk. Title II, Part 8, Supporting Effective Instruction. Title III, Part A, English Language Acquisition, Language Enhancement, and Academic Achievement. Title IV, Part B, 21st Century Community Learning Centers. Title V, Part B, Subpart 2, Rural and Low-Income School Program. Title VI, Part 8, Subpart 1, Indian Education, ESEA Sections 8101-11, 6118 C, 8521A. New flexibility regarding reduction of NLEA's allocation for failing to maintain effort. An SEA must reduce NLEA's allocation under a covered program if the LEA fails to maintain effort in a given fiscal year and also fail to maintain effort in one or more of the 5 immediately preceding fiscal years. ESEA Section 8521 B1. K1. Updates to covered programs. K2. Reduction for failing to maintain effort. An SEA must reduce NLEA's allocation under a covered program if the LEA fails to maintain effort. Prior to the ESSA, the reduction was made based on failing to maintain effort compared to the preceding fiscal year only. Under the ESSA, the SEA has added flexibility and the reduction will be made based on the new requirement below. K3. Waiver for exceptional or uncontrollable circumstances. The statute provides 2 bases: an exceptional or uncontrollable circumstances or a precipitous decline in the financial resources of an LEA to warrant the Secretary's granting a waiver of maintenance of effort. With respect to exceptional or uncontrollable circumstances, prior to the ESSA, the statute included the example of a natural disaster. Under the ESSA, a new example was inserted so that exceptional or uncontrollable circumstances also include a change in the organizational structure of the LEA. In addition to these 2 examples listed in the statute, there can be other instances of exceptional or uncontrollable circumstances that might warrant when a waiver request will be considered. 20. ESSA. Important fiscal changes. U.S. Department of Education new example for what would qualify an LEA to receive a waiver. Exceptional or uncontrollable circumstances, such as a change in the organizational structure of the LEA. ESEA Section 8521 C1. L. Frequently asked questions. L1. What are examples of a change in the organizational structure of an LEA that could potentially qualify an LEA for a waiver of the maintenance of effort requirement? Below is a list of examples for what a change in the organizational structure of an LEA might mean. An LEA changes its configuration. For example, the LEA merges with another LEA. The LEA divides into 2 or more LEAs. The LEA eliminates grade levels, e.g., previously served grades K-12 and now serves grades K-8. An LEA changes its management or operations structure to create economies of scale to be more efficient. For example, each school in the LEA employs budget and fiscal management staff. The LEA makes the decision to consolidate budget and fiscal management staff into a single team located in the central office. L2. How does a waiver of maintenance of effort affect NC's determination of whether an LEA failed to maintain effort for one or more of the 5 immediately preceding fiscal years? If an LEA receives a waiver of the maintenance of effort requirement from the department for a given fiscal year, The LEA has effectively maintained effort for the fiscal year. Accordingly, in determining whether the LEA had failed to maintain effort for one or more of the 5 immediately preceding fiscal years, the SEA would count the year in which the LEA received a waiver as a year of maintaining effort. L3. If an LEA wishes to request the waiver of maintenance of effort based on a change in its organizational structure, what evidence should an LEA provide to the department to demonstrate that the change in organizational structure caused the LEA to fail to maintain effort? In requesting a waiver based on a change in its organizational structure, an LEA would need to provide evidence of that change and the reasons why the change caused the LEA to fail to maintain effort. To explain the change in its organizational structure, the LEA might provide a narrative description of the change or a visual, organizational chart or map, if relevant. The LEA would also need to explain why the change caused the LEA to fail to maintain effort. In doing 21. ESA, important fiscal changes U.S. Department of Education. So, the LEA might show its expenditures related to its organizational structure before and after the change to demonstrate that the change resulted in lower expenditures. 22. ESA, important fiscal changes U.S. Department of Education new requirement, Ombudsman to help ensure equitable services and other benefits for eligible private school children, teachers and other educational personnel, and families. An SEA must designate an ombudsman to monitor and enforce the SEA equitable services requirements under both Title I and Title VIII. ESEA Sections 1117A3B and 8501A3B. The Equitable Services and Overview. The SEA includes separate provisions governing equitable services for eligible private school students, teachers and other educational personnel, and families under Title I and programs covered under Title VIII. Part F, Subpart 1, Uniform Provisions. Subpart 1. Private schools. Equitable services for private school students, teachers, and other educational personnel. Title 7. Please note that, except as otherwise provided in this guidance, the existing non-regulatory guidance documents, Title I services to eligible private school children, available at http://www.ed.gov/programs/titleiparda/bsguidance.doc and issued on October 17, 2003 and Title IX, Party Uniform Provisions, Subpart 1, Private schools, available at http://www.ed.gov/policy/lc/ed/equitable-guidance.doc and revised on March 2009, remain applicable. And common equitable services requirements under Titles I and VIII and 1. What are the roles and responsibilities of an ombudsman? An ombudsman should serve as NC's primary point of contact for addressing questions and concerns from private school officials and leads regarding the provision of equitable services under Titles I and VIII. In addition, the ombudsman is required to monitor and enforce the 7 under the ESA. The Title I equitable services requirements previously in Section 1120 of the ESEA, as amended by NCLB, are now in Section 1117 of the ESEA, as amended by the ESA. Similarly, the equitable services requirements previously in Section 9501 of the ESEA, as amended by NCLB, are now in Section 8501 of the ESEA, as amended by the ESA. VIII, amended by NCLB. The ESA, however, made a number of significant changes. Some of those changes are common to the equitable services requirements under both Title I and Title VIII. Others are different. Accordingly, Part N of this section addresses significant new requirements common to the equitable services provisions in Titles I and VIII. Part O focuses on significant changes to requirements under Title I, and Part P focuses on significant changes to requirements under Title VIII and the covered programs subject to those requirements. Many of those requirements remain unchanged from requirements under the ESEA as 23. ESA, Important fiscal changes. U.S. Department of Education equitable services requirements under Titles I and VIII and, thus, should have a significant role in the state's monitoring process. Furthermore, the Ombudsman should ensure that private school officials know how to contact the Ombudsman. The following are examples of activities the Ombudsman could undertake in fulfilling the roles and responsibilities of the position. Serve as a general resource regarding equitable services requirements for both LEAs and private school officials, which may include conducting initial outreach to define the contours of the Ombudsman's responsibilities. Develop, in partnership with other relevant SEA staff, monitoring protocols applicable to the provision of equitable services and participate in a sample of any monitoring activity. Provide technical assistance regarding equitable services requirements for SEA staff administering applicable programs, LEA staff, and private school officials. Establish a process for receiving documentation of agreement from LEAs consistent with the consultation requirement that the results of such agreement shall be transmitted to the Ombudsman. ESEA Section 1117, B1. Participate in the state's Title I Committee of Practitioner, ESEA Section 1603B, and, as applicable, non-public schools working group. And 2. Specific responsibilities. With respect to enforcement, the primary responsibilities of an ombudsman enforce the requirements and titles and accordingly. An ombudsman should work with SEA staff administering Title I and programs covered under Title VIII to develop protocols applicable to the provision of equitable services under each program. To ensure that being followed, the ombudsman has an active role in the with respect to any findings with equitable service requirements under the ombudsman also contact responding to and who serve as to designate in the with appropriate within various such private terminate
Now that's crazy. Let's just pause this for a minute and pause recording. Yeah, he is. He's really talking about it. Okay, here we go.
Heightened as we stand with our community whose pain and anger have been rightly brought to the forefront by the senseless murder of George Floyd. I'm proud of our community's strength and proud of the staff, our educators, and most important, of course, our students who are willing to have hard but necessary conversations and to take action to address racism. Of course, this includes looking at our own implicit and explicit biases. And examples of institutional racism within Sac City abound. This is evidenced in a variety of data points of our own system in the form of high suspension rates among African American students, lower high school graduation rates among African American students, lower A to G completion rates among African American students, and other important markers that require all of us to self-reflect. We must self-reflect. And we must continue to stay focused on the vision of equity, access, and social justice for all, to actualize that vision. Despite our unexpected mid-semester shift to distance learning, our mission to meet all of our students' academic, social, and emotional needs cannot change. Almost immediately, our team quickly mobilized to provide our students with millions of meals, computers, internet access, social and emotional supports, and check-ins on the well-being of all of our students and families. I thank
Okay, I can pause them. Pause the recording too.
tutors, demonstrating their resilience, their innovation, their creativity to connect with our students. I can't thank them enough for their flexibility, their hard work, and of course their dedication to our students. We admire our teachers and we're grateful to them. We began a formal distance learning program on April 13th, a month after our schools closed. We developed and implemented quickly like other districts in the region, but not soon enough. Distance learning doesn't equally replace your child's experience in the classroom, and I can speak to that as a parent of 3 children in Sac City. So I remain deeply concerned about the loss of learning. In fact, by the end of the summer, our students will have been out of the traditional classroom for 6 months, with more than 300 students not having had any interaction with their teachers. So I share in the pain, the frustration, and even the anger that many have expressed about our current efforts, about the difficulty of distance learning, about the wide variation in the quality of distance learning over the last 8 weeks. So because we want our students to remain engaged with their learning throughout the summer, we're asking all returning students to keep their district-issued computers over the summer so they can continue to access resources and supports provided by Sac City Unified. And you as a parent can find those resources on our website. You know, resilience in the face of the unexpected has been the recurring theme this year. While we experience the pain of these turbulent times, our hearts are also warmed by countless ways we have supported one another and supported our students' academic, social, and emotional needs during this difficult time. We've acknowledged and we will continue to acknowledge mistakes and the need to improve and take action to address educational inequities and injustices. And we've seen moments of learning and growth. We know that the next school year will also look different and could present even greater challenges that are unknown at this time. Our district, as well as districts throughout the Sacramento region, are working closely with the state and county departments of education and health to develop our plans for what school will look like in the fall. Our process in Sac City will be developed in a phased-in approach with the following areas: academic, attendance and engagement, culture and climate, nutrition, and of course public health. And we'll attack this task in 3 phases. We're currently in phase 1, which is focused on researching, surveying, data collection. And as we move into any of the other phases, we will develop and present draft recommendations to our community. And in phase 3, we will publish and share our final plan. As part of our efforts in phase 1, we are reaching out to you. I'm pleading with you through surveys to get your input on distance learning to inform our plans. We encourage you to...
Okay, now I can talk. You see, this is the outreach that should be happening, for all of our community. It's simply, we are not doing what we should do as a people. And how can we actually expect anything different? We can't. Our children are failing, but we are willfully absent in the public arena for oversight. I've been there for years, and perhaps maybe that's why I have all this white hair, but the reality of the missing people and the missing community members and the community representatives who never show up to be a part of the planning process and to share in the outcomes, because it was so ignorant that so many 12th graders right now in Sac City Unified School District are far, far below grade level. And if they're far below grade level, they're not making adequate yearly progress. And so, you might have a 12th grader who can't read above the 6th grade level. And it's just real. They do not possess the executive functioning skills to complete assignments. And so the word is that they just refuse to do the work. And, we as a community have just accepted the failure. I just don't understand it. It's a reality that Black children are been impacted disproportionately by special education, and special education is not bad. It's what I call Burger King, because it's the way you need it, not the way they want to give it to you, but only if you understand what the rules say. I don't know how a community can have a 259% suspension expulsion rate, higher than any other ethnic group. And that's happening here in Clark County, but it was happening in Sacramento also. And the Black community said nothing. Hell, the Black community in Sacramento City had nothing to say with being, there were a few people But everyone should have been outraged to understand that Black children had the highest infant death mortality rate in the state of California, right there in the city of Sacramento. Where's the Black community? I understand that there are Black people engaged in the political politics, but I think they keep it to themselves, like, greed factor. They got the money, they're doing the work, and they don't want to share with you. Well, sharing with you means that, you have to be encouraged to participate. And that's what CASE used to do. It used to engage with the community members, and parents and teachers and local community members could access resources to train families and parents. But guess what? The training stopped. American citizens don't access training for what? What do they need training for? The law says public education is compulsory, meaning you just have to get your ass up and go. And if you don't, you can be persecuted. There can be penalties. And if you go to a resource that you shouldn't really have access to, then the reality is that charges can be filed against you. It's so insane as to how we've ended up where we are, because we're in a pickle. Our kids are out there protesting because they don't have opportunities, and those opportunities don't exist for people who can't engage in the public society, meaning they can't read, they don't write, meaning that they're not effective communicators. They have issues of trying to hustle and make it happen, basically. I mean, I started this video with actually reading what Hold Harmless was, and how states and how SEAs, which is a state educational agency, or how LEAs, which is a local educational agency, actually distribute the funds, what they had to look at, who was generating the money, and how those services come back. And then really talking about a specific part about maintenance of effort. And then kind of like my computer just started going crazy. The internet started going crazy, because it tends to do that when they do a lot of tracking. My phone has tracking on it won't stay, a new phone too. Can't last, all day on a charge? No, it doesn't last all day on a charge. So, putting it in a battery pack would probably screw it up like I did the other iPhone 8. But this is life. But if you don't keep upgrading, they just overwhelm your system. Because I have this HP right here, and it is not that old. You know what I'm saying? It's a nice looking computer. But guess what? When I put it online, it has a heart attack. It's so slow. When I put a CD in, it's got to tell everybody in the world, there's a CD in here. People look and see what she's doing. And they start collecting that information to go, store it in the cloud. Because, the cloud is real. Everyone has an address. Let's not pretend we don't have addresses in the sky. And let's understand what that looks like. That looks like from the time you get up in the morning, if you get in a car with smart technology, tracking everywhere you go and everything you do, and collecting that so that they can send you advertisement. And, it's called pimping. It's called pimping, because we're not getting a benefit. There's no benefit. How I was so surprised that we got this COVID money, because I remember in California when they cut our Social Security, they said because they would give it back to us, but they never did. They just cut it and never came back to us. But people who work for the state, they got their money back, but the poor people never got their money back. It's just that who really speaks up for the poor people? And now I see more Black people, more people of color having self-expression, sharing their concerns, because that's what citizenship is all about. I'm an American citizen, and you may see me as a Black woman, an elderly Black woman, but guess what? I've been here long enough to understand that I have a right to be speaking on my engagement in my history, living in America, because I am an American citizen. And I've exercised my rights, and I have engaged in public policy issues in regards to, I gave my 2 years to the Corporation of National and Community Service. I served as a VISTA. I was honored to serve as an American citizen. helping to engage in the process of helping other citizens learn how to access resources. That was my role at Mercy Housing as a, coordinator for youth development and social services. But life is just good because those 2 years that I served as a Vista, I got a stipend. It didn't affect what I was getting then was cash aid, because I was on cash aid for a minute before my Social Security came through. But let's get real. I had already vested with Los Rios Community College District. And the mere fact that I worked in the mailroom, and everybody in that mailroom that worked during that time came out with basically some kind of health issue, except for maybe court. But who knows? That toxic, working around those chemicals do affect you in life. And that, once you have chemical ingestion in your body, it's real. The body's trying to fight. Getting rid of the chemicals all the time causes pain. That's a real reality. But irregardless, we were talking about hold harmless, and I thought it was important that we come back with a video after, the board met on, the people-centered funding formula commissioners that were appointed by Steve Sisolak to determine, the level of equally sharing the money of all students. And they just really want to make it equal, even though all students are not equal. And so, that's what they've done, and that's what they've done for years. And they've not looked at the maintenance of effort, and people just don't target the lowest achieving students. They just don't, there's just no maintenance of effort. I've asked for the data. It's comes back like a joke. Like, why do I have to look at the data? Because if children are not meeting basic level standards by the third grade, meaning that they're not reading and writing at third grade level, then the expectation is that they won't reach that by the sixth grade, because there is no catch up in public education. You can't catch up anywhere. You're not going to catch up. And so kids just continue to get promoted and promoted. And here we are having a generation of people who are not even basically at eighth grade level. And California exited the high school exit exam. They're not requiring the school districts to do that. And so here's the superintendent asking local people to engage in the process, participate, come back. Because I was a person in Sac City, I was a parent then, and it's important that parents participate in the process of how services are allocated, because that's who gets the services. For the parents who are participating, sunshine in my face here, for the parents who are participating are the parents who are basically getting the services. And for the parents who never show up, well, their kids are getting services, all right. But you should understand, a child can have 1,000 pages of behavior infractions, and that's basically all they got. They never got to learn the task. And public education is about teaching to the task and measuring the maintenance of effort, measuring how well they made the progress. But we're not talking about progress here. We're talking about the haves and the have-nots. We're talking about the people who understand that during the May revise, they moved that money where they didn't spend it because they didn't have qualified staff, and they moved that money to where they needed it. And they've been doing it for years. And they had to be doing it for years, because otherwise you wouldn't have that dysfunctional data, that 259% suspension expulsion rate in 2020. This is the plantation, and I am encouraging people to step up, because if you choose not to step up and you choose not to be heard, then we stay where we are as Americans. And that's not being an American. That's just being, I don't know. I can't fake it anymore. I can't fake it, because people do pay taxes, and some African Americans pay more taxes than you can ever imagine. And if they said that the President of the United States did not pay as much taxes as the secretary, then know that the entertainers really did pay some taxes. And they did put Wesley Snipes in jail for failure to pay taxes. Now let's think about the money and the collection on that money that they put him in jail, and that he couldn't negotiate, and that he had to finally negotiate to get out. How insane is this? We go to jail for not paying taxes, and Other people figure out how to play the game. Like our current president, he plays the game. So in playing the game is real and life is real. But for people who look like that, move up, and people who look like us move over. And it's consistent with moving over. And now it's just time for us to step up. With the level and the ability of the new technology that's available, we all can coordinate something and share with our friends and encourage our people that are close to us to be involved, to understand what's happening and how they make decisions, and hold people accountable for the free check. Because if you have a system that's not educating children, then you need to understand what that looks like. Crime is up in your neighborhood. The children are undereducated. That verbal communication between young people, I mean, communication is everything. But an ineffective communicator can't even explain what they don't have. Because you can't go, it's just real. Our system is established with a maze of public services to provide to people who need them, supposedly helping them up out of poverty or up through the system. But it seems like the system is just totally broken right now. We have to have some real accountability, and we have to have some real data to measure. So I'm gonna let Jorge finish, because he was my superintendent for just a moment, and I did get to meet him, and I did get to talk with him, and I did get to share my concerns, and I've shared my concerns over the students that I continue to support. And I'm happy that he's here, and I'm hoping that Sacramento will realize that they can no longer turn their backs on all children. Being an American means accepting responsibility for self and knowing this, that if you choose to have children, it's got to be your responsibility that they get the best education that they can, even if you never had access. And I'm encouraging people to understand they have to find things that they can measure the maintenance of effort and ensure that their kids are engaged in the learning process. So I'll push Jorge one more time.
To provide honest feedback to help guide our planning. We look forward to seeing our students when school resumes, of course, however that might look. We've learned a lot this year, and we will apply some of those learnings to make our next school year even more productive. We must do that. We can't allow our students to lose valuable learning time without a more formalized and structured distance learning program. And I recognize that it takes our community working together, Sac City strong, to push us forward. So I thank you for your support. Have a great day.
Okay, that was excellent, because it's going to be all of us, it's going to take all of us to stand together and demand that the educational outcomes are measurable.
What if one hot-selling Amazon product could replace your income and change?
Sharing. That we can measure and monitor and ensure that all kids are having access, and that we have a functional America. We can no longer have homeless people just roaming the streets. We can't have women who have children whose children are not being educated. We have to have functional citizens. We have to have people who pay taxes, who generate money, but who actually participate in the oversight of the public services, that ensuring that all kids are functional. I just don't get it. I don't get how kids can be in school for 12 years and then come out with the inability to really participate, and then have this huge trail of behavioral dysfunction. Those children who have been documented for years, what happened to try to transition some of that negative behavior? And how could you have all of that information, 259% suspension expulsion rates for African-American children, and then you can't tell me how you break that down? How many children in there are special ed? Well, what is it that you're doing to redirect some of that support services to get some positive feedback? Not just how you collect that information. I'm really not concerned about that. You could put a report together that showed that this many kids weren't getting it. Well, what did you do to ensure that they got it? You see, it's just not that easy. The money is just not free money. And here, where they've used unique ways to create wonderful environments for smaller learning communities, I think they have schools as low as 7 children. 7 with a principal and some support staff. And then they have schools with, great numbers. I don't know what they go up to here. I know in California they went up to 3,500 kids. Of course, they had different programs. But irregardless of where you are, I just need to know what the maintenance of effort is. How are they measuring and monitoring the support of the children? People act like I'm crazy when I ask this. If you have K-3, how many kids at the end of 3rd grade are at grade level? And if they're not at grade level, how are you measuring and monitoring the support that they get by the 6th grade? And then in the 6th grade, if they've not made it, what are you doing for the 7-8 split? And how are you documenting the support? You see, you can't have all these people paid out of Title I money and federal money, and you have no data, nothing, to demonstrate how those children had access. Those children just have some dysfunctional behavior. Hell, I think you're running the goddamn plantation. I have to watch my language. I'm talking. The real issue is, how is it that you have so much dysfunctional data and no supporting evidence of the maintenance of effort? So, when I'm asking for the data, K3, and then I'm seeing how you were supposed to ensure that more kids were reading, because you said the bill was Tyrone Thompson, but it was really a federal requirement that you document what you're doing for the children who are not reading by 3rd grade level. And so when you ask those kind of questions and you get no response, and people pretend that they don't know what you're talking about, and that they don't even have to do it because, they're with the people of Nevada or somebody different. But I am an American citizen who was born in Mississippi, who lived in Texas, who lived in Japan, who lived in Italy, who lived all around the world, who lived in Michigan. Come on now. I am a worldly person. And my father was in the Air Force, so I can understand. I never suffered some of the things that happened in the local schools in the 60s, but I did catch a bit of it in the 70s, because when we came back from Texas, where we found out that being Black could cause you not to get an answer or a response in the classroom because they didn't have to. And I went from all A's to straight F's because that's what they could do. And then we got to California, and I was up a grade, and then I stepped back a grade, but only to understand that, people had alcohol in their drawers and they were drinking during the day, and people brought their dogs to school and read their newspaper. And it really wasn't about learning. It wasn't about education. It was about employment and benefits and what do you call this? Benefits and retirement. And we're just had superintendent after superintendent, retiring with $500,000. $500,000. I mean, $500,000 is a lot of money to walk away and have full health care benefits. But who controls the amount of money that's paid in the public school system is the public. But if the public never shows up, well, hell, they just do what the hell they want to do. Because this is America. And local communities run communities. So if you're not being heard in your community, it's simply you need to understand that your voice is important. And when singers and artists get great ideals like Michael did, and he said they don't really care about us, but they couldn't have Michael Jackson running around talking about they don't really care about Black people, even though you may know it. They didn't want to reinforce it. And so here we are. What is it? Mother. Wow, where have we been? Marvin Gaye, and where are we? I don't know what's going on. We don't know what's going on. And we've never known what's going on because there's never been a place created for us. Although, yes, my girl was telling me that, Marion Crawford, I've worked with her and her sons. And believe me, those were trying times, but Elko Police, they were really vicious to her children. And, there's some things that happened that you can't even believe that happened. But they did happen. And, there's recordings, and we fought and had, expulsions overturned at the county level. But, that's what you do. You fight. You fight to exist, because that's a personal responsibility. Is that nothing is free in life. There is a cost to everything, and there is a cost now. We all need to look at where our children are, because our children are the harvest. And no matter what I say and how I try to express my concerns about what's happening in public education system, my son says, Mom, people just don't they don't care about public education. But the requirement is, when you have a child, that it becomes compulsory, and that it's your responsibility to figure out how you go through the maze and how you figure out the support for that child and what it looks like. Because there is IDEA under 2004. There is a requirement that all children have a right to have the same access as all other children, even if they have a disability. And the districts and the state must attempt to try to provide you the support to ensure that you do have access. And believe me, I know that works, because my son, who is autistic, and he had epilepsy, so he was considered communication handicapped, but he graduated with a 1-on-1 aid, a laptop, and above proficient, although he still has a disability. So let's not pretend that, the education system is totally broken, because it really isn't. It works for people who know how to work it. And for people who don't know how to work the system, or refuse to get up and participate, or act like it's a gift and just put their child out there, it is their children are the harvest. And the harvest has been reaped on our backs forever. It is time that we understand that the 1964 Civil Rights Act did not come without the requirement of engaging to ensure that we had demanded the rights to ensure that our people still had access. There's another, probably, what do you call this, little stream stuff that's going on. I listen to other people like Gerald Higginbottom, and he's a pilot, and then there are some real people out here that are trying to engage people. But we all need to understand that we are born to this land, and color does not divide us, because we're still born to this land. And if your child had to go to the military, like my father was in the Air Force, my stepfather was in the Air Force, and his life was on the line. And he expected anybody who was coming from this land to have his back. And that's the way it is in America. If we're up and facing a challenge, then on the front lines, our people are Americans first, not black, not white, not yellow, none of that. It means that if I have to trust my life in your hands, I can assume that you got my back like I got your back. But when I come home, that if I have to concern myself about where my children will live, or how my children will participate in public life, just like Kaepernick couldn't take a knee. Seriously? What was the need? What was the allegiance to? That's what I want to know. If we've been given citizenship with no value, what is the value of the citizenship? If we have a Black caucus, how is the Black caucus not looking at the overall outcomes of the maintenance of effort for our people, state by state? Because they're able to participate at that level. We as everyday citizens are not able to participate at that level, but we can certainly continue to speak out about what's not happening at the local level where we live. And understand that you're not safe at Safeway, and you're not safe in the parking lot at Safeway, because there are people out there that need things. You understand? They're hungry. They need a place to stay. They're willing to sell everything that they have on their person so that they can exist. Now, who in the hell are we to deny that? I don't understand anymore. There's so much dysfunction going on in the world. And I can't change everybody, and I can't change anything. But I can tell you that I was able to raise my 3 sons, one who was gifted and gait, one who was non-specific disability, and one who was considered severely mentally retarded and communication handicapped, who is with me today, and who is the smartest young man that I know. And I'm telling you that, your disability doesn't have to be physical, doesn't have to be mental. It could just be that we all are different. And some of us need additional support to ensure that we are having access to a quality life. I have a quality life here with my son and my mother. I've been blessed. And all the people who try to do me harm, it's unfortunate they met whatever harm they had, but hey, life goes on. And I'm going to say, I know that I'm blessed, and I can say I'm highly favored. And regardless, I'm still here today. And I'm here to share my life story to ensure that even when you're down, you need to understand that there are choices that you make a great difference. You can't turn your back and assume that the system is just going to do what it do. No, it don't do. It do what you let it do. So, if you're not learning or you're struggling in school, you need to seek an advocate. You need to find someone who can help you. There are all kinds of resources out there. And all of our children are so gifted. And, it's about control. It's about what was it that the offer of fate really was. If it was a behavior modification and it was all about behavior, that's the data that they had. That is the data that they intended to get. If it's the academic data and they can demonstrate that they have that data, then that's the data that they're demonstrating, that they're attempting to get, and they can measure and monitor it. But if you ask them for the data and they have no data, and they don't see themselves as having a responsibility to share with the community, because it's a public safety issue for me. If I have young people out there that are hungry, they're willing to snatch my purse while I'm trying to walk down the street. It's a public safety issue for me that all children have access and have an obligation to themselves to try to do better, but they have to be doing something. And you can't lock up and just corral people because you never gave them a chance. And people do take chances when they never had a chance. I'm going to stop for now. I've talked enough. I started this video with the reading of Hold Harmless under the federal pot of money that every state gets. And then, my it must started getting heavy or something, because then my computer started choking up and didn't want to talk right. And then I had to just pause that. And then I got to see Sac City and Jorge, the superintendent in Sac City, talk about we all need to step up our game and ensure that all children have access. And believe me, Sac City has so many issues. At John F. Kennedy, they had the majority of children who were in the 9th, 10th, and 11th grade who were African Americans. Hell, in 2004, they didn't have one African American male to graduate above a 2.2, 2.0. Not one, not one. It was all about the behavior. And so you can't, when someone's looking at how you behave or how you approach them, and if you didn't quite get it right that day, or whatever, and then they can say something about that, then that's all they're going to do. They're always going to blame you for not getting it. How is it that you can go to school all year long and get a letter grade of F and no maintenance of effort, and nobody demand that they show any evidence that you even were there? How is it that you go to school and you don't get any credits? Can somebody tell me how these children are in high school with not enough credits at the grade level? Can you just explain that? Then, what are you doing? How is it that you feel that you're entitled to the 3 months of vacation in the summer, that you're entitled to? These are for teachers, and this is for everybody working in public education. How do you feel that you're entitled to the semester breaks, whatever, Easter, Christmas, Thanksgiving, and then, and then the summer, and then you're off, and you're not even thinking about those kids. When you get back, oh, it's a dreadful thing because those kids still did nothing. And then the maintenance of effort for summer school, extended year of service means it was intended to ensure that your child did not drift back or lose, the things that they had taught, but it became like it's a joke. It's ditto world. And, and these people here in Clark County like to pass out a lot of dittos. Some of the kids that they didn't give laptops or didn't engage with, they just were passing out ditto packets. Hell, I don't even know how they plan to measure the maintenance of effort of those dittos, because they weren't measuring the maintenance of effort on how they were supporting the children in the first place. They just didn't have the data. Well, hell, they still had their vacation. They had this, what do you call this? Professional development that they fought for, and they got it. And even they get the professional development. Now, understand this. It means that they get to go to school for free or pay their own, benefit. And then they get to leave And they never have to work in a school where those children paying for the professional development. The money was being generated from their community. I mean, hell, the poor kids don't get nothing here. Nothing. And the few who do get something, well, their parents are obviously engaged in the process, intelligent, and understand that there is a benefit in STEM programs. There are always people who are seeking benefits for their children. And then there are some who just don't know that there are better opportunity out there. And that's why we have to change. We have to change because those services are being provided out there and people are abusing the system, as far as I'm concerned, because if you don't have the data, then there's some abuse going on. There's something called like fraud going on because the people who don't ultimately make it go to jail and they spend a lifetime trying to get out of hell. And we have to change that because everybody's not bad. And when you have children, the babies are not guilty, but you make them guilty because you don't support them. There's public services out there and they're intended to provide a real public service, and I don't see it here. I'm living in Las Vegas and I didn't see it in Sacramento because the people in poverty and the ones who really need it, they didn't have access to it. There's always hope. And I know one thing, families in poverty always love to see their children perform and do outstanding things in the community. And until we are ready to change, we can't change this. And until we're ready to change, I don't see COVID ending either. So until the next time I get on and decide to rant, because I think I've been everywhere tonight, I just want to encourage you to stay alert and understand that now is the time for everyone to be involved and understand that being an American citizen means that you have to step up your game. So until I meet you again, either on Facebook or on my YouTube channel, I'll say subscribe, follow me. And, that's it. Good night.